Falcons game.
Yeah.
We saw some more Desmond Ridder. We saw some more Jordan Love. How do you feel about those two quarterbacks after week 2?
Yeah, I compared Jordan Love to Jimmy Garoppolo. I still like that a lot, where I feel like he's a game manager. He's going to be able to throw some strikes. He looks like he has some dog in him. You saw that massive run that he had in Atlanta's territory, and I feel like he's also a guy where sometimes when it comes down to it, he's just not going to be able to get it done. He's going to have some misses like Jimmy Garoppolo did in the Super Bowl to Emmanuel Sanders, but overall, without Aaron Jones going into a very tough Atlanta environment, Atlanta's defense was playing very well in that game. So I thought Jordan Love played really well in a hostile environment going down to Atlanta. And then Desmond Ridder, dude was throwing strikes. It's like, I feel like a lot of people were ready to just rule him out, discount him, and count him off. I'm like, no, until I see him have like a really, really bad game. I thought he did a really good job just fitting in his role. The interception he had, he did get hit on that play, so it wasn't necessarily his fault. Maybe he should have just fallen down or threw the ball away, but overall, I thought he played a pretty clean game. He was able to roll and run out of the pocket when he needed to, and I noticed the Falcons do a lot of bootleg action where they get Desmond Ridder on the move outside the pocket, and then he was just ripping the ball down the field. He wasn't afraid. Had a Jonnu Smith sighting early in the game. That was funny. And then Bijan Robinson, we thought he was a monster. We thought he was a dog. He's everything we thought he is and more. This Atlanta offense is aggressive. I really like the way that Arthur Smith calls the game. So I thought it was a really balanced neck and neck game, and we thought it would be close. I picked the Packers because I thought Aaron Jones could play, ended up losing, and then you picked the Falcons. But overall, thought this was going to be the most underrated game of the week, and some people were going to overlook it. However, really impressed with the Packers, especially being able to do that without your two best weapons in Christian Watson and Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Romeo Doubs is stepping up this year where he looks like he could be a guy. The rookie receiver this year that they drafted looked really good in that game as well. And then Luke Musgrave, shout out to him, came out there and balls. So far, he looks better than Kyle Pitts. What? Are we ready to call him a bust or what? Because Kyle Pitts, it's not like Desmond Ridder isn't trying to get him the ball. Sometimes he would just hit him in the hands and flat out dropped it.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is an anomaly because going into the draft, he was like the best tight end prospect we've ever seen. He was like the TJ Hawkinson, who was drafted high as well. Like, he was supposed to be the best tight end in football right away. And so far, he's been pretty disappointing overall. And last year, you could point to Marcus Mariota and how bad he played. But now, what's your excuse now? I mean, you're talking about a guy, Desmond Ridder. He gets the ball to his receivers. We saw Matt Collins make some great catches. We saw Drake London have some big shots down the field. Bijan getting it done. Where was Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts, it's like, it seems like every year there's an excuse for him. There's no excuse this year. You should be able to ball. You should be a part of this offense. Feels like he's the lame duck at this point because we talk about Drake London, great game. We talk about Matt Collins. He had a good game. Bijan had a great game. Desmond Ridder, he made some plays with his legs. He had some good plays as well. So, like, Kyle Pitts got to step it up, or else maybe they should consider drafting another one next year.
Yeah, I would definitely consider drafting another one. Overall, though, I thought it was a really even coaching matchup. I thought Matt LaFleur, they had like a stat. It was pretty much even with the amount of times they were rushing the ball. I was glad to see that A.J. Dillon stepped up, and then they were also throwing it inside, outside, did a really good job of just throwing in a variety of plays. And then Jordan Love doesn't look lost out there. He looks pretty confident, and then he looks annoyed when he loses. He looks like definitely emotional, like he actually cares. And I feel like he surprised a lot of people so far this year. So I think Atlanta and Green Bay is just kind of in this weird in between where I think they'll be really good this year and they can make the playoffs. However, I think the first round is probably the cap, and it's really going to depend on the matchups they get. I want to see how Atlanta progresses throughout the year, and I think Atlanta's defense has some room to grow. Calais Campbell is the ageless wonder there. Inside, he was blowing up run plays. AJ Terrell stepping up. He keeps improving every year. Grady Jarrett. So Atlanta has some dudes on offense, and I think the part with them that people really underrated was that defense. I just want to see how they transfer on the road going up to Detroit next year, going to be next week. It's going to be a tough environment. And then how are they going to perform in those colder environments on the road as well? But overall, like what I saw from both teams, two explosive offenses, and then Green Bay. Hey man, no Christian Watson, no Aaron Jones, and that defense is still stout.
And it came down to a field goal ultimately.
Yeah.
Really tight game. This is kind of the game I predicted, but also really impressed with the Packers defense. Luke Van Ness looks really nice. You mentioned Jair Alexander doing some numbers as well. He had some good plays. He dropped an interception from Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
That could have been a house call. So, I mean, this is like a game that could have came down to just one big play by the Packers. But ultimately, two teams that I feel like are pretty evenly matched. I'd like to see them meet again later in the season and see how they perform. But really impressed with both teams. I think these guys should be fighting for the wild card spots.
Yeah. Arthur Smith, coach of the year, definitely.
I hope
the conversation.
And I definitely don't want to see him lose. I mean, let's say they don't make the playoffs this year. He deserves another year. I think he's a good head coach. He's sharp between the ears, and I think the Falcons are going to be good.
Yeah, I think the Falcons will be good. Really curious to see how they